allowed to reinvest that money in this country, not in other countries.
Hey, Donald, before you go, just quick switch topics on you. I want to go back to the birther stuff. You were fanning the flames last week. I saw a lot of the news around. We were actually talked about it a little bit on the show. But are you back in the same place you were before? Well,
no, I've never really changed. Nothing's changed my mind. And by the way, you have a huge group of people. I walk down the street and people are screaming, please don't give that up. Look, a publisher came out last week and had a statement about Obama given to them by Obama when he was doing a book as a young man a number of years ago in the 90s, born in Kenya and raised in Indonesia. I mean, this was a statement. This was from Obama. Now, amazingly, the publisher says, we made a mistake. He said a couple of days ago, as you probably saw, Andrew, we made a mistake. What do? We made a mistake.
So you still don't believe he was born
That's not the way life works. Joe will tell you. That's not the way life works. He's a young man doing a book, and he said what he believed to be the truth. So there's a whole lot of things. His mother was never in the hospital. They don't even know which hospital it was. His grandmother said he was born in Kenya. Now, look, it all wouldn't matter except if you're born in a foreign country, you're not allowed to be president. So, this is a minor detail. So the publisher comes out last week, and he makes this statement, and then he said, we made a mistake. Well, I don't think life works that way. Now, is it the most important thing? In a way it is, because, you're not allowed to be president if you're not born in the country. But let's see what happens. So I'm not fanning flames. This is something that came out last week. A lot of people are questioning his birth certificate. They're questioning the authenticity of his birth certificate. I've been known as being a very smart guy for a long time. I don't consider myself birther or not birther, but there are some major questions here, and the press doesn't want to cover it. The press just refuses to cover it. Now, if that were somebody else, they would be covering it and they'd be throwing people out of office, but they don't want to cover it. So it's interesting.
There was a weird, in that same report that was on some of the conservative websites, and I haven't even confirmed it, Donald, but there was a quote from one of his debates when he was running for state senator, I believe, and one of his opponents said, well, this was at the time when the Kenya thing was still on some of his biographies or something. And the guy said, well, you weren't even born here. And he said, well, it doesn't matter if I wasn't born here. I'm not running for president at the time. It was a quote that looked like it was right from a debate. I don't know whether you saw it. I'm going to look it up right now.
There was a quote.
But from him. And almost but the question is whether there was a time in his life where he thought it was more attractive to be a more international type guy and maybe didn't change the impression that he wasn't. I don't know. That's what the...
Well, look, Joe, just to finish off, a lot of people want to see his college transcripts. They're not looking at his marks, his grades, was he a good student, was he not. They want to see what does he say about place of birth. Now, those transcripts have disappeared. Nobody seems to be able to get them. I was able to get him to produce a birth certificate if we assume that it's a correct birth certificate. A lot of people have, as you know, very serious doubts about that. But they want to see his college transcripts because they want to see what is he saying about place of birth. There's a statement on a college transcript. I said it, you said it, we all said it. It's called place of birth. What did he say? Well, he is really stonewalling it, to use an old Nixon term. He is really stonewalling it when it comes to he just doesn't want to give those transcripts. So what does he say at Columbia and Harvard and his other college where he supposedly did not have good marks and got into Columbia? What is he saying about place of birth? These are just questions, and unfortunately the liberal media doesn't cover them. They don't want to cover them, and they get angry when you even suggest any of these things. I mean, one other thing, the hospital. The mother was never in the hospital. These are minor details, but they can't find any records that the mother was in the hospital.
All right, well,
so it's a tough situation.